Hello everybody and welcome to Nostalgia Goggles, the finale of the Mario Marathon. I did it. I'm so happy that I did because there's multiple times where I almost didn't. This was an absolutely fun month. I wish I did more weird Mario games, but hey, that just means that I have more stuff to do on the show. With that being said, what is the finale of Mario Month? Why not, right? I initially wasn't gonna do this. It was gonna be something different, and I can never really think about it, but it feels about right to come back to this game. It feels right to because of how realistically this year has gone, and also how we kind of started with Mario games this year. And I think it's about time that we ask the question that kind of matters. Is Mario Kart 8 still worth playing today? Well, let's find out. What can I honestly say about Mario Kart 8 / Deluxe, besides the fact that this is one of my favorites, and argumentatively I'd boldly even say that it's one of the greatest Mario Kart experiences that I've ever had. It's one that I have never regretted coming back to. It's one that I've come back to over and over again, and only now, when I'm on a time limit, is when I'm kind of tired of the game, right? And that's mainly probably because I'm stressed more than anything else, because I need this video out more than anything else. But at the end of the day, every time that I've played this game, I've enjoyed it more and more, and that's also because Nintendo has made more and more for this game. Originally when Mario Kart 8 came out for the Wii U, it was originally a little bit different, and it was rougher, at least according to a few of my friends. One of my friends brought up that there was no double item slot, which I think makes sense for the time. It wasn't something that bothered me, and the battle mode sucked, but they seemed to have fixed that with Deluxe, and Deluxe is just the better version of this game. It is the superior version of this game, and I absolutely love it. The gameplay in both versions of the game was already phenomenal. It was already great. It was one that I absolutely really loved, and it's one that actually is a lot deeper than I even could have expected. For instance, the gravity mechanic is something that I have never actually considered or thought about, but if it wasn't until my wife looked something up because I asked her, apparently it secretly changes how your kart works and handles, and I think that that's really cool, alongside it actually having a speed boost when you bump into other players or certain obstacles that allow it, and I think that that is really cool. It's something I never thought about. With that being said, another thing that came back from Mario Kart 7 is actually the customization of your kart, which I think is also phenomenal. I think that it's really cool because it allows you to play with it, and it allows you to make a kart that feels good, or if you're competitive, it allows you to be in that competitive space, and I really enjoy it, alongside just realistically all in all the game just feeling great. The gameplay of this game is phenomenal, and it has almost everything except for like the double dash mechanic, which I do not think will ever return, but it has almost every form of Mario Kart within this one gameplay wise, and I think that that is just great. I think that that is just awesome, and I can see why people are coming back to this one instead of World, and I think World was the step in the right direction of where we can go next, because kind of like I'd argue Smash Ultimate and just Mario Kart 8, we're gonna have to kind of break away from what traditionally exists, because there's a point where we can't get any better, and I don't think realistically you can improve upon this game. I feel like you could release 8 again with more maps and more characters, and people would still accept it, because that's just how solid the gameplay is. But you do definitely need to do something different with Mario Kart at a point. I just don't think World handled that well, right? But I think that technically that's where we're supposed to go, because where else do we go besides another double dash or another attempt at changing Mario Kart just completely, because this one just is always going to be one that people will go back to until we get into the new groove of what Mario Kart could be. So, you know, I think that that tells you enough of how I feel about the gameplay. With that being said, let's move on to the presentation. Mario Kart 8 was surprising. When the original Wii U version came out, I never thought that a Mario Kart game could look this good. Mario Kart always kind of looked good for its era, right? But like, Wii didn't look the best. The DS one looks good for the DS, and the 3DS one is the same kind of case for what it is. And that's really the best I can say for Mario Kart. Not 8. 8 is the exact opposite one of where they looked like they put the most time and effort into the initial game. And then the Switch version as well, for the base game. It felt phenomenal to see everything. With that being said, there was a DLC pack that came out later in the Switch Deluxe version And that's where we get kind of iffy. Some of the levels don't look as good. They look good, they look like what you would expect from a Mario Kart game, but it feels somewhat of a downgrade from the first set, even the first DLC set. Cause like, that was great, man. Hyrule Field, Big Blue, the Dolphin level, and so on and so forth. Just the visuals were on point, and I love it. I love it. I just love how this game looks, but what I love even more is how this game sounds. Mario Kart has had a kind of interesting existence musically, right? Where each generation kind of feels a little bit different. Where Mario Kart felt wacky in the GameCube era, it felt very reminiscent of Mario in the 64/Super Nintendo era, and this one is where we got jazz, and my god, is it great! I absolutely love the soundtrack of this game. Oh my god, I cannot tell you how much I love the soundtrack of this game. I'm sorry that I'm so loud, but like it is phenomenal. just everything about this game, audibly and presentation wise for the most part, is great. Even adding the characters from non-Mario games like Link, Isabelle, Villager, and Inkling look really good, and they look correct. The only one that's a little odd is Link, but then again, Link's art style that they were trying to push doesn't fit here. But it's better that they didn't just go at Toon Link. He looks right, but he doesn't look like he looks like his own kind of Link. He looks like if Mario had a Link, this is what it would look like, right? Even down to the Breath of the Wild one. It doesn't look exactly how he would translate, but then again, I can't really see I can't really see how they do it. It's kind of why I see why Captain Falcon wasn't in the game, because they probably had to look at it and go, how do we put him in this tiny cart, right? So at the end of the day, I think that the presentation is phenomenal. I was freaking screaming with excitement. That's how much I love the presentation of this game. It hits Mario Kart, but it feels like they were trying to show off the next gen. It looks like they were trying to show off how good the Wii U could be. Not so much for the Switch, but I mean, it was still great, right? The levels that suffer are minor, and that's really it. I think at the end of the day, this game, presentation-wise, still holds up to this day. Even down to the point where people are debating if this game looks better than Mario Kart World. I can't tell you. I'd have to do a side-by-side and actually give a deeper look, but I don't really even care either, because I think that this one has more of an identity, argumentatively, too, right? World has an identity, too, but I think it gets lost within the, they get lost along the freeway segment because you don't get to witness that identity as much as you do with this one, and that could be to its detriment. It really depends. I do think that World has its own identity, but now's not the time to talk about that. I didn't even bring that up in the World video, which tells you, I guess, technically, I think 8 has a better identity if we're gonna go on that route, but either way, at the end of the day, what can I say except for the presentation is outstanding. It's phenomenal. It's got me excited to even just talk about it, right? And there's only so much I can do. This is a one-sided conversation. If I was talking to you about this, I'd probably be even more excited because I'd love to hear what your favorite levels are, what you felt about this one, but I can't do that. This is a one-way video. With that being said, none of that matters if you can't get your hands on the game. So let's talk about the accessibility. So Mario Kart 8 has been released on 2 different consoles, obviously, the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. The Wii U version of this game is obviously the cheaper version, which will set you back about $6 to $7. There are people that are trying to charge it for more, about like $14 to $20 something, but majority of the time you can buy this game within the single digits. I don't know why people are trying to sell this one for that much. I don't know. With that being said, Deluxe itself stays very consistent, being at $49 to, at the most, you'll probably pay $60. I would just recommend going with Deluxe. It's kind of like the Mario 3D Land issue of where it's like, you can, but like in reality, you're probably going to get more out of the Nintendo Switch version. Now there is DLC for both. One of them is inaccessible because like if you didn't download it back before the, eShop closed, the Wii U eShop closed, you're not going to get your hands on it. But Deluxe, on the other hand, still has the DLC available. I do not know the exact price of it, but if you do have NSO and you have the expansion pass, you are able to get the booster pack and many other things as well. That's up to you on if you even really would want that. Either way, it doesn't really matter how you get your hands on this. I think that the Switch one is more reasonable. With that being said, let's move on to the goods and the bads. Everything, 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 just everything. This game is phenomenal. And I know that it sounds like I'm glazing this game, and I most definitely am. And to be honest with you, I didn't want to. I was kind of hoping that looking back at this game, I'd find some kind of flaw, or I'd find something that I really don't like about the game. But I feel like this game has made it to the point of being just almost perfect when it comes to what you would expect from a traditional Mario Kart expectation, right? I think that you could definitely get me with the, oh, well, it's not perfect because it doesn't have something like blah, 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 but it doesn't really matter. I think that this is the one that you'll be playing until the cows come home or until Nintendo makes a better one, if they even can, right? I grew up around the time of everybody having a debate on which one was the best. For instance, a lot of people said that like Mario Kart 64 was the best, and we eventually saw that that one crumbled within the test of time thanks to other Mario Kart games. And I think that that's the only one that really held the test of time 100%. I think Double Dash was another argumentative one, and realistically that one will stay in our mindset forever because there isn't one that works like Double Dash. There isn't a Mario game that comes anywhere close to what that one did, so that one may withstand the test of time because it is so unique because of what it does. But that's a Mario Kart Double Dash video that I'm trying to pitch here for some reason. Not really 8. 8 is the one that I feel like you can sit anybody down and enjoy because it definitely is, in my opinion, one of the best ones. Now, this is also me saying this without replaying those other games, but I've attempted to. Realistically, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna peel back the curtain. I think it's the best because it's the one that I've had the most fun with each time over and over again. I have tried multiple times to talk about Mario Kart on this channel, but I feel like all of them have come off super negative because games like this exist. Mario Kart over time gets better and better and better, technically. And so I think that this one is, in my opinion, the one that I feel like even an old head would enjoy. And I think that it shows. The gameplay itself is phenomenal. The music is phenomenal. The way that the game actually just works is phenomenal. The online is still alive, which is really cool. And I just think that this is a game that I think you can always get your family around and play. It's the Mario Kart that works out very well. It's the Mario Kart that I think withstood the test of time. And that's what's funny because it almost didn't, right? I think that Mario Kart 8 has always been a great game, but I feel like it would have probably been left by the wayside if they just kept it as is, which is where we're going to the bad section. Yeah, the initial game wasn't great. I'm not saying that it was bad either, I'm just saying that I knew a lot of my friends didn't like the fact of how it just kind of handled. It was a great game. It was a phenomenal game. It was one of the games that made the Wii U completely worth it. And it still was better than most Mario Kart games of the past, but like I think now that I understand why having 2 items is great, it feels like that was something that was kind of a fumbled bag. I didn't notice it much, nor did I care. And also in the initial Mario Kart, the battle modes kind of sucked because they weren't like actual maps. Once again, all of this stuff was kind of fixed in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so it really doesn't matter, right? But I think that if they just kind of doubled down and stuck with it and didn't change anything up, right? I think that this game wouldn't have been as well received, or I wouldn't like it as much because I did play the initial one. You can even see it in our footage. You can probably even see it here. But that one is great. It's phenomenal. It's really good. But it isn't the best version of what it could be. And I can even tell you honestly that I wasn't excited for Deluxe on the Switch, right? I didn't really think that it was a good idea. I bought it because I wanted to play it. I didn't want to play it on the Wii U anymore, you know? I liked 8, but I wasn't really ready for it. Actually, it's funny, when I bought this game, I went to the same GameStop that I picked up, I think, the original Mario Kart 8, and the guy recognized me, and he's like, doing it again? And I'm like, yeah. And I think that that's funny because that tells you how little time was in between them, but I think that it was a good decision to release this on the Nintendo Switch because it made it better. And I think that that's a great way to be. I don't like that tactic though, realistically, and that might be another thing that I think should be considered as bad, is I don't like how they're willing to fix a game after the fact, and I don't want that to happen to World, right? I think that if they re-release World and go World Deluxe, I think that I'd be upset because you could have done it. Like, at least Mario Kart 8's initial game didn't have too much problems for me. It was a shrug and move on, where I feel like World needs a little bit more fixing. And this is after hindsight, so, you know, if you're watching this episode after World, I'm sorry. I still think World's great. I still love World. I just haven't played it since my video, really. Or since I was on the Igloo. Yeah, that's the last time I did it. That's fair. That's more fair to say. So, to go check out Igloo. With that being said, that's really all the problems I have with the game, and most of them are already fixed, right? I guess outside of that, the biggest issue I have is the philosophy of them doing this, but I don't know if I care, right? I don't know if I care. I mean, I care if they do it with World, but I think it's too late for me to care and be upset about it, because it just was too good. It was just too good. So, with that being said, let's move on to the final thoughts. So, this is what happens when you have two games. So, is Mario Kart 8 worth playing today? That is a loaded question, kind of, right? Because when it gets right down to it, yeah, it is. Even the Wii U version's worth it. I think, all in all, this version's the way to go. But I still think that it's worth it. This is like the best Mario Kart we're gonna have for a long time, and it may be the best traditional Mario Kart we'll ever have. From having amazing guest characters, to an amazing soundtrack, to amazing level design. All in all, this game just is 100% worth it when it comes down to what makes Mario, Mario, in the Mario Kart standpoint. I think that this is the best one we've had in a long time. And it's a great way, in my opinion, to close out the Mario Marathon, because after all, Mario Kart is the biggest Mario game outside of Mario itself. I think everybody and their mom has played it at least once, and I think that this is the game that they'll be playing until they make another one, and it is heavily possible to replace this one. But who knows? We gotta see where we're going. With that being said, thank you so much for checking these out. These videos have done better than I thought they were going to do, and they were super fun to do. I'm never doing it again, though. This is the last time I do one month to month to month, because it does take up my time. It does stop me from doing other videos. And I'm not saying that negatively. I'm so happy you guys watched these, but I don't know. It was fun, and I'm not going to do it again. But I am doing anniversaries. Next year, I'm going to kind of focus on Pokemon and Zelda in a completely different way, but I'll tell you about that in an update. With that being said, thank you so much. Also, I forgot, I'm scatterbrained. This is the last time I'm talking about Mario. Mario Celebration goes until next year, so I still will be talking about Mario stuff. Just don't expect it every month, right? I'm actually going to be doing a recap of everything that happened this year with my Mario style as well. So, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time here on Nostalgia Goggles. Happy 40th to Mario, and thank you guys so much for watching these. It means the world. With that being said, I'll see you guys next time, maybe, here on Nostalgia Goggles. Bye!